Your boy Czar, all rights reserved, commenter nation, greatest nation. Let me get into this. And it was a lot of things that were being thrown at me. Now, this is irregardless if the alleged robbery, I'm going to say, done on Adam22. This is another synonymous factor related to the fact that we saw other people dealing with one of the cases we talk about, presumably being held at gunpoint to be robbed. Now, I'm going to briefly talk about the situation because I find it a little eerie on how it happened. My curiosity is how the door was open for someone to randomly enter and have access. I presume if money was coming in, you would have some type of lock system where certain people would either have a key or certain people would knock to get in. So the question, giving you that respect, would be who let him in? Now, with all that said, and me being realistic with the situation, I truly do believe that there's more factors that we're going to yet have to understand. All I saw were officers in uniform right after it happened. That doesn't really tell me anything about the situation, nor was it something that I could eat from, so to gain insight. Where else have we seen this type of instance? Anybody can guess? Yep, you guessed it right. It was from the people we deemed to be fake witnesses. They put things up and it was a real body they were showing, real instances, but it was handed to social media, almost for like you guys to lap it up. This was handed out, and here's what's crazy. I told you guys there were many distractions coming, and this occurrence happened. Now, it's not details as to who did it. I'm not going to say there's a certain way people should handle something when it has to do with these instances because everybody handles it differently. But usually, the fact he was on the ground still talking and people weren't attacking him viciously because of what he did was odd to me. We also seen that they were more than open to just go ahead and get authorities involved. So all of you who talk about, the snitching things, like everybody calls the authorities when it comes to a situation of this nature. And they arrive late at the instance we're talking about. I wanted to know in general, what was my viewers' thoughts on this instance? Now, recently, about a week or so ago, we just saw a mural destroyed. Everything's revolving activities around situations we've seen happen to X. And it all seems to be people that were previously affiliated. Now, I don't know what this is as far as what's going, whether, they're trying to make this the topic. That's why I'm speaking about it, because I'm saying that it should not be a topic. It should be a choice now that happens, that if he's taking in money like that, that he's smart enough to make the decision to close off himself to the people who are trying to involve themselves in knowing or being a part of the business, because these things just doesn't happen. Someone had to have some level of reference in order to make the attempt they did. That's part of what I'm saying. These things are never cut and dry. It's never blatantly obvious. These are things we've learned to speak about depending the situation and how it was delivered to us. This is what I want to keep in mind, that this is a very questionable instance when it comes to these type of issues. It's very important to stay wise. Now, do you think it was wise for him to operate that way, dealing with the different things that he was a part of? Do you believe that what happened made any type of sense? I'm still trying to make sense out of it. I've seen many different moguls discuss it, but I still haven't concluded if it was sensible. I mean, who would be taking that much money during the day as a job, obviously, and not make the precautions to how he keeps people around him, keeping the door locked, just the entrance? I mean, the basic occurrence doesn't make any sense. Now, if we heard a door slam open and then that stuff happened, that would have made more sense. Not just like someone running down on you. That's why people are saying it. And I still never got why the guy would even do that, because I didn't hear him say, "Where's the money?" He just started screaming obscenities at Adam22. Now, what was weird was that the guy that did it, if you're in a certain area, which I've been told you're in, it's odd that you didn't have others run down on you. And that's for the sake of me keeping it simple. I don't get that. That doesn't make sense. If they really wanted what you had that bad, and again, this guy didn't say, "Where's the money?" He started just screaming stuff at him. I would think that others would have been around, and I could be wrong, presuming the area may not have been the exact area you were in that I've been told you were in. So I'm just kind of confused. I would pray that this wasn't real, but at the same time, I hope you're not yanking our leg over something like this. It's not funny. These type of things, black on black crimes at an all-time high, and this was a white on white situation, but you got to understand the type of robberies and things dealing with weapons. That's a lot of what we notice and see as a black culture. That's not a game. That's not a joke. So I hope his precautions are better in the future. And, I would hope that this isn't a situation of mockery to what us as a culture go through, and I guess he's been doing this for a while. He's been doing these type of shows consistently. And what's crazy is I would like to hear what artists had their music played there and blew up after that or got a deal. I would like to hear from you. If there's an artist that featured their music on his thing, because you guys want to know why I'm talking about it. And he even wants to know because one of the people that actually had their music played on your site got played over by an artist. And I have those receipts too. So we can run with that too. So I'm really confused. Was that a potential artist that had his music played and he felt jilted because nothing ever came from it, regardless of this show going on and on? Who actually with A&Rs and recording companies are sitting there all day watching this, let's say, this series you run where you play other people's music? We have to look at the whole picture, not just this instance. That's the problem with people that don't see what's going on with the Tentacion case. They're looking at an instance, but you're not looking at the affecting factors that circulate what's going on. I mean, if you actually did get someone signed, I applaud it. But I just have never heard anyone actually being signed off of this series you do. Let alone, I know of one particular person whose music was on there, but then when they tried to link up with an artist, they got cheated out their money. So that doesn't reflect on you, but the fact of the matter is the characters you keep around you, that will in turn define you. Because if you're hanging out with derelicts, just for use of a word, that are into the same negative things of the energy that was emitted against you in this instance, it would draw concern for the type of business you keep. And that's the thing. It's just very interesting that I speak to someone but 2 weeks ago about an exact instance in relation to that very series, and then something like this happens. Who was this guy that did it? What was his knowledge? What was his reasoning? Because now, if anything, this draws heat to the business that you've created and the whole ideology behind it. If he's a jilted rapper that he felt did not get the respect in return for what he paid for, that's very interesting. And people linked it to money, but I thought money was being accepted online. Who was really paying cash to do it? So what was he really there for? Was it really about money, or was it about his artistry going unnoticed after he put effort into it? That's what I'm curious about. I think it has, in my opinion, more to do with the series you're running and less to do with him wanting blatant money. I don't see where he demanded money. I'm confused. And the thing was, the issue happened off cam. We really didn't see anything to say, oh, he was there for money. We don't know what he was there for until he says what he was there for, because it looked very personal. It looked way more personal. I could be wrong. I accept that. But you know how I rock. All rights reserved.